Breaking broadcast. Do not venture outside under any circumstances. Tonight, the harrowing screech of the emergency alert system shattered the silence, its ear-piercing wail making it difficult to focus. Disorienting and shrill, the sound seemed to reverberate through every device simultaneously, an unmistakable harbinger of impending doom. The first warning came through, a shrill, shrieking tone that used to be just a test, now a harbinger of catastrophic power outages and chaos spreading rapidly across the city. Amidst the overwhelming cacophony of the alarm, the automated voice declared in a surprisingly clear yet unsettling tone, "Emergency alert system. This is not a test." The clock on my wall showed 3:33 a.m., its neon glow casting an eerie light on my dimly lit apartment. My phone's blaring alert jolted me awake, the shrill ringtone piercing my eardrums and making my heart skip a beat. I reached out to silence it, my hand trembling slightly as I realized it wasn't just another Amber Alert or weather warning. The TV, which had somehow turned itself on, blared the same message across every channel. Do not venture outside. Lock all doors and windows. Stay away from any windows or openings. The words echoed off the walls, their repetition unnerving. A pungent, ozone-like scent hung in the air, leaving my stomach churning. I tried to shake off the feeling of unease, telling myself it was just my imagination playing tricks on me. But the warnings on my TV and phone were relentless. They repeated the same message over and over, like a mantra. Stay inside, stay away from windows, wait for further instructions. I glanced around my apartment, my eyes settling on the bottled water and non-perishable food I had stored in my pantry, a habit I had developed after the last hurricane warning. The fog outside seemed to suffocate the city, its misty tendrils crawling up the windows like ghostly fingers. I inhaled slowly, feeling the cool mist fill my lungs, and then quickly exhaled, the damp air making my skin prickle with goosebumps. As I stood there, frozen in uncertainty, the streetlights outside cast an eerie glow through the fog, creating shadows that danced and twisted like dark tentacles reaching in from the unknown. The knocking at my front door started as a soft, insistent tap, growing louder with each passing moment. My heart racing, I strained my ears to pinpoint its origin, wondering who, or what, could be on the other side. In the days leading up to the night of the fog, I had started to notice strange things happening around the city. People would report seeing shadowy figures lurking in alleys, and streets would be shrouded in an unnatural haze. The authorities attributed it to wildfire smoke or drought-induced heat, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something more sinister was at play. As the fog began to creep into the city, it was as if the very fabric of reality was beginning to unravel. The air grew thick and heavy, like a shroud that clung to my skin, and the shadows cast by the streetlights twisted and writhed like living things. I knew then that something was very wrong, and that I needed to stay inside no matter what. The knocking at my front door was the final straw, the last straw in a series of increasingly bizarre events that had brought my world crashing down. Who or what could be on the other side, and what did they want from me? The not knowing was almost too much to bear, and I could only stand there, frozen in terror, as the knocking grew louder and more insistent. I made the mistake of approaching my bedroom window. That's when I saw it, a figure in the fog, too tall, too thin, with limbs that bent at impossible angles. It moved like nothing I've ever seen, more fluid than solid, pressing itself against windows of the apartment building across the street. My hands shook as I tried calling 911. Nothing. No signal. Just static. The community chat groups were exploding with messages. Mrs. Johnson from apartment 4B saw something take her husband. The Ramirez family on the third floor reported scratching sounds at their windows. One by one, the messages from my neighbors stopped coming. The conversations just died off. Sarah from downtown messaged to say she saw them hunting in packs, like a litter of hyenas. I made a mental note to keep moving, to keep searching for any signs of safety. I connected with other survivors. Sarah from the downtown area said she saw them gliding through the fog like dark, ethereal dancers. Marcus from the suburbs described how they could mimic human voices, calling out in the voices of missing loved ones. We agreed to make a break for the sports stadium's safe zone, the military's designated evacuation point. The journey there was, God, I can barely describe it. We moved through empty streets, watching them glide through the fog. They were everywhere, stretching up buildings, coiling around cars, slithering through broken windows. We saw people who didn't heed the warning, who thought they could run. They didn't make it. At the stadium, we thought we were safe, until we saw the truth. The creatures weren't just outside, they were inside too, among us, wearing our faces. The last military broadcast confirmed our worst fears. There was no safe zone, not here, not anywhere. The final emergency broadcast cut out mid-sentence, replaced by that awful static. But before it did, we found a message on a soldier's phone. They're everywhere. They always were. They always will be. If you're hearing this, you're probably wondering if this is just another creepypasta, another scary story to keep you up at night. I wish it was. But the fog is rolling in again, and those shapes, they're pressing against my windows now. This is my last warning. Do not venture outside. They're waiting. They're hungry, and they're wearing familiar faces. If you want to hear more survivor accounts, make sure to subscribe to PK Booksmarts and join our horror community. Share your own emergency broadcast experiences in the comments below, if you're still able to. They're here,